Boom! Last Wish. Welcome to the Last Wish. I guess this is the first actual video. I've recorded all of Sword of Destiny, but here I am, I Last Wish. Welcome to the first short story, The Witcher. A couple things I want to talk about that I didn't include in my intro video. This video series, not so much in the short stories, but overall, the reason it's called The Witcher Companion is because this book series was very confusing to me the first time I read. I didn't read the short stories and I just kind of wasn't paying that much attention to people's names and what was going on. Big mistake. So that's why I'm here. If you're watching these, I can help you keep on track. I'm going to point out things without spoiling anything. I'm going to point out things that might be good to remember, or if there's a big event coming, or if these people are going to be important, I'll say, hey, remember these names. Or I'll pose questions being like, why do you think this person is doing this? If you ever don't understand something, it's probably by design. It's probably because somebody in the world knows more than you do, knows more than Geralt does at this moment. And that's what I love about these books. It's a fun little puzzle. Don't be worried if you're confused if somebody does something that baffles you, because that's probably by design. And we're just trying to figure shit out. Anyways, The Last Wish opens up with the short story titled The Witcher, and that's an apt name because it introduces us to what a witcher is. Check this. See that? See, that makes sense because we're getting introduced to the Witcher. Okay. So the way that this book works is it's a frame tale. So there is a story that is going on above the stories that are being told. The voice of reason is what they're called, and there's several different parts. So I don't want to say too much right away because we really don't learn much in this first voice of reason. He just has sex with a girl. And Sapkowski should really consider getting into smut because some of these descriptions, he sank into a sea of chamomile as it grew agitated and seethed. Okay, okay. But yeah, it's a frame tale, and basically those serve to introduce the short story that we get into next. Not so much for this first one, but we'll see that in future ones. As far as the short story goes, if you really enjoyed Geralt, the Witcher, going out on this contract, figuring out what kind of monster it is, dealing with it, where you can either kill the monster or try to reverse the curse, if you really enjoyed that, you should play The Witcher 3 because that's like so many side quests is Witcher contracts. There won't be many more in the series. There are plenty of contracts, I feel, that he goes on, but they always blow up somehow. Some shit goes down that turns it into a whole different thing, and other shit happens, and so if you like this really like classic contract, play The Witcher 3. There's a lot of really fun contracts in there. Overall, I'm not going to do much summarizing of these stories, is kind of the groove that I've gotten into. I'm just going to talk about things that I really liked and things that are important. One thing that's kind of important, just like a throwaway, if you might not have known, Witchers can do a little bit of magic. They have signs. We see Geralt cast a few. Earden, Axii, Ard, I think gets used as well. So yeah, Witchers actually have a little bit of magic that they can do. Something that's very commonplace in these Witcher short stories and in the main saga is so much is going to be context. So much isn't said out loud. So much you have to decipher. Nothing in here was like crazy difficult. We don't have it. There was no shard of ice type stuff. If you get to that video, that's some subtext stuff going on. But nothing too crazy. Like Velerad, the Castellan, is telling Geralt about one of the Witchers that comes through and says, you see, Geralt, there are some wise men in Vizine, in high positions, who've had enough of this whole affair. And they persuaded this Witcher to just kill the Striga and say that the spell failed. And then, these people that don't want the Striga around anymore can pay that Witcher themselves. Because what are we doing? What are we doing, Foltest? I know that's like your daughter and you want her to be fixed, but you have subjects and people are talking. People in Novigrad are like talking about this shit. You got yourself a bad reputation because you're letting people get killed while holding out hope that you can still save this girl. It's somewhat noble, but also like enough is enough. 50 people are being killed a year to this, and this has been happening for 7 years. I completely understand the townspeople's position there. Geralt is just consistently poor, so he hears about how the townspeople had offered to pay the Witcher a certain amount to deal with this without trying to break the curse. And he's like, maybe I'll tap in on that. Maybe we should see if we can't maybe raise that to 1,500. I don't think that Geralt is the type of person to try and just kill this thing without solving the curse. I think we see that in the short story. But if I'm gonna have to kill the thing anyways, might as well have a backup. Might as well get paid 1,500 if things go south. But King Foltest is so cool. Maybe the best king that we're gonna read about. Like Foltest is saying, if the Striga just gets killed, I'm gonna have to order the Witcher beheaded and hanged. But he still says, I will not allow her to be killed without anyone trying to save her, but I'm obviously not going to punish you for killing her in self-defense. And I mean, he says, you won't get paid and you'll have to get exiled because I'm still a king, but I'm not going to kill you, which is kind of sweet. Thanks, Foltest. And the first time Foltest calls Geralt by his real name, Geralt, is to ask how much truth is there in the rumor that the child is as she is because Ada was my sister. He's really worried that he has caused this. He is shameful about what has happened, and he asks if that is the reason. And Geralt says not much, that you don't have anything to worry about there. But on the other hand, that means a spell was cast somehow, and he says for us Witchers, the knowledge that concentrated will can cause such phenomena is enough. So he really says somebody cast a spell or was just angry enough about something or had the will enough about something to cause this, which leaves us thinking, what is that? And then Ostrit waltzes on into this room that Geralt is preparing in and offers $1,000. What the hell is it? Crowns? Florins? I don't know anymore. Orens. Fuck, I missed Orens. Offers 1,000 Orens for him to just leave because he doesn't want Geralt to kill her. And we learn that Ostra is motivated by revenge here. He wanted Foltest dead. He wanted him to die in agony, to go mad, to rot alive because he loved the king's sister, Ada. And to him, the king was just using her as a mistress, a trollop, but he loved Ada. So he cursed what are we doing, guy? Nah, man. She died because of you. But it doesn't matter because this guy gets eviscerated by the very child that he cursed, which is kind of badass. And it does make me feel a little good that Foltest wasn't to blame for all of this because he cares about his daughter. I don't know. He's got his daughter's best interests at heart. But also, you have a kingdom and people are dying. I digress. This fight with the Striga is so badass. And I have to give, I don't do this often, but I'm going to do it. I have to give the Netflix series credit here. They adapt this short story. And I don't know, they bring a character in that isn't in there in the book and they do all this and that. But the fight, I fucked with. The fight they pulled off. Foltest was for some reason, not a good leader, not a charismatic guy, was just angry. I didn't fuck with that because he's one of the coolest kings we meet. He cares about his daughter. He feels such shame for this situation. In the show, he's just an asshole and is ugly when Foltest is kind of hot in the book. Whatever. But as far as that fight goes, I fucked with it. And obviously the princess is a princess and there's no problems. Except she's got the emotional maturity of a toddler. But whatever, everybody's happy. And they bit each other. She almost killed him, biting out his neck, and then he tries to bite her to death. And Velerad says, Geralt, before I go, tell me, why did you try to bite her to death? Huh? Geralt, but he was asleep. Because why did he do that? Who knows? I don't know. In my head, and this won't make sense because this is the first video ever, but in my head it's kind of Ouroboros. The snake sinks its teeth into its own tail. She bit him, he bit her. And I'm going to revisit this exact scene when we're in book 6. And everybody's going to say, wow, she was so smart for that. But that's it for the first short story. I wouldn't expect these videos to be very long, especially as these short stories at the start are pretty short. But when we get to the last wish, then I'm going to be locked in. That's going to be a long one because I love that short story. I love it. Until then, the next short story we have is A Grain of Truth. And I'll see y'all there.